that's something that's a very important internal motivator for distributors. But one of the most important things is loving and enjoying the journey, where external motivation is towards the end goal, internal motivation is in the process. Whether it's the calling, selling, promoting, or networking, you love that about the direct sales business. And so, the journey is in those daily activities. So internal motivation is, as I said, is focused in the process, and the fulfillment of that process gives you on a very personal level. In a nutshell, external motivation brings them in, internal motivation makes them stay. One important thing to remember is that external motivation is short-term, but internal motivation is long-term, because as long as you enjoy what you're doing, it's obvious that you'll keep on doing it, right? And wouldn't it be so much better if you got paid doing what you love? I mean, we talk about that all the time. So when you wonder why your new recruit is not working in the business, or why distributors aren't recruiting as much, it's beneficial to examine what their external and internal motivators are. When you do this, I believe that you will come into the realization of what's also important to you. I do want to point out that both external and internal motivators are important in business. From a practical standpoint, success in direct sales requires that you are driven by both. The key is in having a healthy balance of both, because external motivation without the self-satisfaction of what motivates you within would make it hard to keep on keeping on when times get tough, wouldn't it? But another way to look at the relationship between these two motivators is that external motivation will encourage you to work smart. Internal motivation is what will keep you working smart, even when times get tough. We've been doing these conference calls a long time, and when I hear the enthusiasm of new distributors and how eager they are about learning every aspect of the business, I see that kind of excitement can only come from drive and passion. That's what's motivating them at that moment. And the important thing is to keep that momentum. How do you keep that momentum? That's been a question that we're trying to answer. And, this drive and excitement can be, maybe it's the thrill of finally realizing a long-lived desire to be their own boss, or the attraction to the kind of money that they can make with the business. Whatever it is kind of like that combination of the external and internal. Then I think of distributors who've been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years. Some of these ladies have been in our weekly conference calls. I'm sure you remember some of them. I love hearing the stories of how they got started in the business. But what's even more amazing to hear is to hear how excited they still are about their business. Imagine sustaining that kind of passion for what you're doing for years and decades. It's really a wonderful thing. I mean, we all should really be so lucky. That's because what they're doing brings a sense of self-satisfaction, and they enjoy working the daily tasks required to work in the business. What they do makes them happy, and I really can't say it any more simply than that. That the secret of success is in the happiness of those daily activities. It's so simple, but yet, I guess it can be hard to attain if we don't know how. So let's just do a quick recap. External motivation is for the end goal. You're results-oriented. You want that reward. You want that recognition. For instance, an organized new recruit who's externally motivated will make a plan of work. She'll use my plan for success and write down exactly what she needs to do. And that's important, especially when you're starting out. But then the question is, will she sustain it? Will she stick to that plan? Internal motivation is in the love for the process. An organized new recruit who's motivated from within will work the plan and enjoy it. She'll stick to what she wrote on that My Plan for Success. She'll make the call. She'll talk to the people. She'll find opportunities where she's at. She'll actually realize the financial goals that she's committed to in that plan. She will love and take pleasure in the activities because it fulfills the greatest need of all, enjoyment in what we do. Now, if a new recruit stops working the business, it is more likely that her internal motivators were not being met. The challenge for the sponsor then, in this case, is to determine what those internal motivators are. This is why it's important to keep in touch with the people in your downline. Talk to them and see if their priorities have changed. Find out what's foremost in their minds and see how the opportunity can satisfy their internal motivators. This goes for sponsoring as well. In talking to a potential recruit, it's important to really listen to them and know what they're thinking. I would suggest that you revisit some of our past conference calls. For instance, what does your new recruit think it will help you kind of figure out what's on their mind? That one we did in last July 20th of 2009. Another important conference call to visit is emotional signs that let you know she's interested in the business. That was September 28th. That conference call was about, reading body language, which is also very important, right? In trying to find out what her external, internal motivations are, it's important that you see how she responds to the things that you say. Doing so will help you determine the following. Are they a good candidate for recruiting, sales, or booking? If you find out what motivates them, it makes it easier for you to know why, to know what they want, thus making it easier for you to get those leads, sales, and new recruits, and it will also be easier for you to keep them going. Someone who is externally motivated will join the business with thoughts of what's in it for them in terms of the material rewards. And there is nothing wrong with this. Many of us can identify with this. This is why Unique makes it a point to design a financially rewarding marketing plan to distributors along with other incentives. Now, someone who is internally motivated to join the business will probably be motivated by something different. They will be motivated by those factors I mentioned earlier, the idea of helping people, self-satisfaction, love for the process. But here's another thing to consider. When we see someone who is internally motivated to join the business, no will not be a part of their vocabulary. Where there's a will, there's a way. If they don't have money to buy inventory, they'll find a way to get the money that whether they borrow it, use their credit card, or work for a potential sponsor part-time, they will get the money to invest in that inventory. But now the challenge is how to achieve the balance between external and internal motivation. So let's use the upcoming 2010 annual conference as an example, because that conference really, the incentives we provide and why many people go again time and time, year after year, is because of the external and internal motivating factors. So distributors who were able to earn their way to the 2010 annual conference did so through their hard work. The free trip is an external motivator for attending, right? Now, the internal motivation for attending are the friendships that one would develop, the professional and personal growth you can gain from going to the workshops, and the sense of just belonging and being with other distributors from Janique, and the enjoyment and pleasure at being there. I mean, this is really a perfect example of how both those two motivators can really work together. And finally, I'd just like to end by saying that once you know the differences in what motivates us, I hope that you will use this information to make your own assessment of what's important for you, your recruits, and your business. We are in this business to succeed. We are in this business to make money, to help others, but most of all, to get that sense that what we're doing will have a positive impact on our lives and the lives of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Very, very good. And the other day I was going through my files, and I ran across a little statement that I wanted to share with you tonight. A lot of us, we fit ladies with bras, and we wonder, why didn't they call us again? And just like we wonder why our consultants aren't doing business. It may be indifference on our part that we're waiting for them to call us, and they're waiting for us to call them. And, and so why do customers and consultants